Hey guys, Unc here with a new review. Today I have this crystal bathroom light in brushed nickel to mount and review. But before we get to the mounting, let me show you the light. Okay, I've already gone ahead and removed all the wrapping just to make this go a little faster. So over here in the bag, first thing we have is they include some wire nuts and a couple of mounting screws. There are some white gloves, and there's also an additional crystal in case one of them breaks or, whatever. Then here we have the crystals. Isn't that beautiful? This is going to look great when it's all mounted. Okay. There's not a lot of assembly here. The only assembly really is to attach these to the light fixture. And I'll show you how to do that. Very simple. But wow, they are very nice looking. Okay, here we got the third one. And now let me show you the light. Okay, so one of the really great things about this light is it uses standard light bulbs. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, so very affordable. And to mount these, like I just did, you just remove this, put this on, and screw it back in. We're going to be doing this together. We're mounting it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mount this, and I will give you a couple of tips while you're mounting and stuff. All right, let's go ahead and start getting it ready to mount. All right, so before we get mounting, we have to prepare this base plate here. So to remove it, it's very simple. We have these two blind nuts here. These two have to come off. Of course, we got to save those because that's what we're going to use to mount it. So what I like to do when I'm mounting this base plate is these screws, I like to run them all the way out. Okay. The reason I do that is sometimes the plate sits a little bit recessed in the wall, and then the screws may not stick out enough to really engage it. So that's why I try to push them out as far as possible. If they're too far, once you have these in place and you keep tightening it, it will screw in itself. So let's go ahead and start preparing the bathroom to start mounting this. Okay, I have everything ready. I've got the old light off. Everything is clean. If you notice, I still have the wire nuts on the wires to protect them. You should always cover them. You should never leave them exposed. Now we need to mount this here. So the orientation of these two screws here are very important. And what determines that is the light itself. So on this light here, if you notice, the two holes are straight up and down. So we got to put this perfectly vertical on there. So we're going to slide this in. Again, these have to go straight up and down. And now we need to mount. So I'm going to be reusing my original screws that was here on the previous lamp. I'm going to be using a power drill, but you could use a manual screwdriver, works just the same. I just want to speed this up as much as possible. So these screws here, you want them a little tight, but not so tight that you can't move them. And like I said earlier, I like to extend these out because once we have everything done and we put in the blind nuts, we may have to push it back in. All right, so that is ready. All right, so I'm going to start off here by doing the ground. And that's simple. You just put the wire there and you wrap it around. You want a nice good contact all the way around the wire. Now we're going to put the wire nut on it. And it's also a good practice that once you've got the wires on, you tug on them to make sure that nothing is loose and doesn't come off. So now we're going to start mounting these. Very simple. White to white, black to black. That's simple. Okay, as I said, I've already verified that there's no electricity here. And if you notice, I'm wrapping everything to the right. Because the wire nuts, you put them on, twisting them to the right or clockwise. If you wrap the wire counterclockwise and then you put the wire nut, you're actually going to be undoing what you just did. So now I've got all this wired up. What I'm going to do now is run a wire on the ground here. And that's very simple. Okay, we just get the wire and we just wrap it around that ground screw. And I will use my drill and just tightening it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super tight, just enough where it won't go anywhere. Everything is good, so we've got a good contact. Now we need to get these wires out of the way so we can mount the light. Now we will position everything here. And remember those screws that I told you that they were important in how they were pointing, and that's why there. All right, I'm getting the blind nuts and putting them in. So if you notice, they are sticking out a little bit away from the wall. I like to do it that way so it's easier to mount this. Now when you tighten up the blind nuts will push that screw further back and remove that spacing. I'm doing the bottom one now, and that is perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and put on the crystal. So these were just unscrewing, and make sure you hold it because you don't want to drop it, because if you drop it, chances are it will shatter on you. Those do not have to go on tight. They just have to hold the light, and that's it. And here's the last one. And here comes the light bulbs. Yeah, that's going to look really nice when this is done. I love the way how the light shines through the crystal. It creates a really nice light pattern. And we are done. Let me go on, turn on the light switch. And there we go. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so that does it for this review. I hope that helps. Till next time.